This podcast is brought to you by Bernie's Tap and Grill. It's family owned and operated since 1954. Located across from Wrigley Field on Clark and Waveland. My dad hit a few home runs on the Waveland Avenue, and Bernie's was my dad's favorite place to go. It's got delicious food, 4 full-service bars, an awesome beer garden, a sidewalk patio cafe, and a cool upstairs area. It's the place I've always met my friends at before and after games. Go on by and tell Linda Dillman Jeff Santos sent you. Bernie's Tap and Grill, where you go when you go to Wrigley.
Sit back and relax. It's time for peanuts, popcorn, and Cracker Jacks.
Hey, how's it going? I'm your host, Jeff Santo. I'm here with my wife, Christy.
Hello, hello.
We have another cool show for you today. Mark DeCarlo is our special guest.
Yeah.
Mark's awesome. I've known Mark for more than a few years now. And Mark has done so much in the showbiz. Can't wait to talk to him. Also, we love hanging out with Mark and Yenny.
Oh, such a beautiful couple. So funny.
So funny. Absolutely. And Mark is probably going to give me grief today for sure because...
Oh, yeah. When you were dead tired from the picket line and you're laying in bed with your legs icing, all on ice.
Yeah.
And he calls you wanting you to substitute.
Substitute for softball that I retired 2 years ago. And this softball was over the hill. It was about a drive like Chicago to Milwaukee.
At 9 o'clock at night.
At 9 o'clock at night. And I'm... it was a no, complete no. But I'm sure I'm going to get grief for that one.
And you felt bad too. You felt bad. And I'm telling you, no.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm
but
looking
I
at
did
your
a little
legs.
bit. But yeah,
I'm like, oh, this is going to be an injury. This is going to be an injury.
Man. He can do that. He got to me. But yeah, and then we got another great Marc Brady, who is a TV producer, sports producer. He produced when my dad announced for the Cubs. He started off as an associate producer and worked his way up to producing Cub games for WGN, and now he's producing for NBC, the Bulls and the Sox, and he's been doing that for years. We have a lot to talk about.
Excited to hear that one.
Yeah, it's a very cool job. So people get an inside look at that. He's our special Cracker Jack call, and also it's our 10-year anniversary of Dead in 5 Heartbeats, the movie. Our movie.
Can you believe we did that 10 years ago?
10 years ago. How cool. And it's become a cultural classic in the motorcycle community.
And they love it.
Which is awesome.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And you can get it on Tubi, iTunes, all over, and it's in 70 different countries.
And we're doing a huge sale on Sano Films.
Yes.
So you can get free shipping on orders over $100. Enter free ship at checkout.
And also our 20-year anniversary of the making of This Old Cub.
20 years.
20 years. I can't believe that, man.
You were following your dad around with a camera.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, I sure was. And you can get that on Tubi also. So,
and we're doing a sale on Sano Films as well.
Films, check it out.
With for $50, you get free shipping, and that is enter the code SHIP50.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So we got a cool show, so stay tuned. Gino's East of Chicago, doing deep dish in Chicago since 1966. Now has an LA location. Same great recipes, same great ingredients. That's no joke. Their deep dish tastes exactly the same as it does in Chicago. It's my favorite. I love the deep dish. And Gino's East is where I go when I want a taste from home. Named Best Pizza in LA by LA Times readers, and I certainly agree. Plus, there's a full menu of Italian favorites, Chicago Tavern-style pizza, and the Italian beef sandwich. Dine in for great food straight from the oven, or do carry-out or delivery. For great pizza and great atmosphere, go to 12924 Riverside Drive in Sherman Oaks, near the corner of Riverside and Coldwater Canyon, just off the 101 and Coldwater Canyon exit. Or order online. Go to genoseast.com. My guest today was one of the youngest game show hosts of all time. He's an Emmy Award winner. He voiced a popular Nickelodeon character, along with other animated characters in TV and film. He's an actor, comedian, and crooner, and I've seen him croon. He's good. He's a big Cubs fan from Chicago, a good friend and a softball teammate over the years until I retired. He's a pretty good athlete with a big brain. You don't want to get into a debate with this guy. You'll lose every time. I'm sure he'll be hosting me in about 5 minutes. You probably know him from Studs. So good to have him with me today. Mark DeCarlo, welcome.
How's it going, Jeff? That was a great intro.
Good, man. Good. My first question, man, out of the box. You come from a family of lawyers and doctors, but you went off-road and headed to La La Land. What made you head there?
I was growing up in Chicago, and I started doing comedy when I was young in high school and liked it. And two of my my best friend in high school, Chris Fay's older siblings, Megan Fay and Jim Fay, were on the main stage at Second City. So he would take me downtown, and we would sneak in and we would watch the show because we were underage, and it looked so fun. And when I realized that that was their job, that they were like getting paid to do that, I don't think I ever really seriously considered doing anything else. It just it seemed like the thing to do, and I enjoyed it. And one day I'm going to get good at it.
Oh, what did your family say about that, though? I mean,
they were pretty supportive. I mean, it's weird, right? I have two brothers, and we're all similar in a bunch of ways, but very different in other ways. My brother Dan's a lawyer. My brother Mike's an eye doctor. People are different, and that was just kind of my vibe. I was lucky because before I graduated from UCLA, actually right after I graduated from UCLA, I won a bunch of money on a game show. So I had a big pile of cash, and I just told my parents, I just graduated. Give me 2 years to get my show business career going, and if I'm not supporting myself in 2 years, then I'll go get a real job. And I've never had a real job since. So I started booking commercials and stand up and making enough money to live. So it's worked out so far.
Yeah, it sure has, man. And you're good at so many things. And going into becoming a game show host, were you familiar with it, being a contestant yourself? I mean, how was that?
I just wanted to, I was graduating from UCLA. I didn't have any money, and I wanted a convertible because, you grow up in Chicago and then you start living in California, you realize, damn, it's nice here all the time. So I wanted to go on a game show, win enough money to buy a used convertible Rabbit. That was as big as I could dream at that moment. And I ended up going on NBC's Sail the Century. I was the all-time winner on the show. I won over $100,000. I won a convertible cherry red Celica GTS, sweet car. And
nice.
That was a great experience. And then I started doing comedy. I had my own improv group. Then Second City opened a theater out here in Santa Monica. I was one of the founding members of that cast there, along with Brad Sherwood and Colin Mockery and Andrea Martin and Megan Cavanaugh and Andy Dick and Rich Kind, a lot of really funny people. And then from that, I auditioned for this dating show, Studs, and on a Sunday, believe it or not, I met the executive producer, Howard Schultz, on a Sunday, and went in and auditioned, and I was wearing my Cooperstown Ernie Banks jersey, the heavy wool one.
Yeah, nice.
For good luck. And turns out that Howard was from Chicago as well, and we hit it off, and they liked my approach to the show, and they hired me. But usually on Sundays, if you're going in for an audition on a Sunday, it's either for a snuff film or for a porn. So I was just happy that I got to keep my pants on and I didn't get killed.
How did you transition to what did you know about being a game show host? Did they give you any kind of nothing? So you just you winged it?
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't approach it as a game show. I approached it as a talk show about dating, which really is what it was. And it was just an opportunity to be funny and tell funny stories, or let other people tell funny stories, or pry funny stories out of our contestants. And it was more about improv and more about listening, which I had been trained to do. Lots of times, if you're if in a hosting situation, you might want to write these notes down, Jeff, because these are great ideas. People will tell you more by what they don't say than what they do say. Like if you ask them a direct question and they kind of dither around, that means there's something interesting there, and you should pick at it, and find out what it is. And when people were talking about their dating life, and that's all, their egos wrapped up in it, and they're nervous about it. It was fertile ground for comedy, and we did it in front of a live audience. We had like 300 people in the studio, so it was like doing a comedy show. It was really fun, and I worked 4 days a month.
Yeah, you were great at it, man. I mean, you're smooth. And it had a good format. Like, were you part of that format? Did you help develop it? Because it seemed really smooth as far as like, we've seen the dating game and that stuff before that, but your show was really, I mean, you kind of balance both sides really well. And that was all basically from what you learned from improv.
Yeah, I mean, we had great producers. For people that don't know, because the show was a long time ago now,
Right.
We'd have two guys, and each of the guys would go on a date with three different women. So
Yep.
then they couldn't talk to each other. They'd come together on the day we taped the show, and then we'd put up quotes about their dates, and the guys had to guess which girl said what about who. So there was a lot of sexual energy there, and a lot of opportunity for comedy if you paid attention to body language and listening. And it was easy. There were 5 people there. Out of the 5 people, there's usually going to be 1 or 2 funny people per episode.
Yep.
So step 1 is talk to everybody, figure out who the good ones are, who the bad ones are, and then just rely on the good ones.
Yeah, man. And it moved too. I mean, it really moved well. The way you went back and forth, it was fast, it was quick, it was funny. And it showed
we did 580 episodes, and we never had any overtime. We would shoot it basically to time.
Wow,
Yeah.
man. And
the
then
crew loved us.
What's that?
The crew loved us because we were out of there at 8:00 on Friday, and then everybody was at the bar by 8:30.
Oh man. And how did they select like the studs? I mean, what makes a stud? Back then it was kind of obviously looks. You had to have the looks, right?
Yeah, and that just kind of 90s swagger. A lot of guys would show up with vests and no shirt. But those kind of personalities were great for the show, right? You didn't want a meek guy. You wanted the kind of guy who thinks, oh, I can get any girl's phone number. Right. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then the kind of girls were the sexy LA girls. We were basically, I mean, the dating scene in LA in the 90s was, great compared to Chicago. Compared to my Catholic high school in Chicago, it was crazy. And we just leaned into it, And we had a great casting person, Jackie Pittman, who's still casting big reality shows today. And they would see hundreds of people to pull 6, to pull 5, to pull 8. So that was I was not involved in that process because that was actual work. I would just show up on the tape days and didn't want to know anything about anybody and just do it cold, which is what worked best for me.
And it did work. I mean, you were smooth, like I said. So you're just going in there and just gonna go off of your guess and play in between, which was great, man. And
yeah, they would give me we would shoot 6 shows a day. So we'd go in and we'd shoot 3 shows. We'd take a break for lunch and then shoot 3 more. So I'd be getting dressed for show number 1, and the producer would come in and say, "All right, we have Jeff. He's a ball player who's too much of a wuss to play softball anymore because he says his legs are shot. And we have Christy, who's this gorgeous girl, and we have Susie and this one, and then he's a farmer, he's a truck driver, and I would tie my tie, and we'd walk out the door and we'd do it."
Wow, man, that's amazing. Could you see a show like that playing today, or no? It'd kind of be like,
I think today, all the dating it's like, here's my deal with reality TV. It's complete BS.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a date and there's 2 cameramen watching you, you're not on a date. You're on a show. The beauty, I think, of our format was we sent them on the date. You do whatever happens, whatever. And then we would call them the next day and we would talk to the boy separately. Say, what happened? What were you wearing? Did you pick her up? And go through the date chronologically for an hour. You're on the phone with them for an hour and you get their story. Then you call the girl and do the same thing with her and get a totally different story. So then from those 2 stories, we would see where the flashpoints could be in the interview, and then we would ask them questions about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I wore my vest with no shirt. I knew she would dig it. I showed up at her house, the door open, and I could tell by the look on her face she dug me. And then you're talking to the girl, and she's like, I opened the door, and he looked like a monkey. He didn't have a shirt on. His hair was slicked back. He smelled like a garlic factory. What an idiot! But a free meal's a free meal. So it was a lot of that, and it was super fun. And
man.
Here's a little tidbit for you. Our warm-up guy, because it was a live audience, very important to have a warm-up guy, was TV's Mark Wahlberg, the host of Temptation Island.
Wow, man. That is something. And I saw that you did Street Smarts with him. Street Smarts.
Yeah, we've been friends. We've been friends since then. And yeah, we did Street Smarts. We've done some variety shows together. If I call him, huh?
What is Street Smarts?
It was a show hosted by Frank Nicotero, very funny comedian, and it was we asked Frank would have a video, and he's in the street talking to people. What's your top favorite types of pizza? And he would get the people in the street to give the answers, and then cut the tape, and then the people in the studio had to guess what the people on the tape said. Then they'd show you the tape, and you were right or wrong. So we played for charity, and did you watch it? I
didn't watch. I just read about that, so I want to know more about it.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, here's what I'll tell you about Mark Wahlberg. We've been friends ever since. And when I call him because we need a softball player, he shows up.
Oh, come on. Let's put that in the context. Did you call him last night? Did you call him the other night?
2 days ago. What?
Did you call him a few days ago? Because let's put that into context.
Let's put that into context. Exactly.
Please, let's get down to it.
I run a team here in Los Angeles called Bad Mojo. We're a championship softball team. We've been playing together. We won the championship last year.
Okay. In a barely
league. We won championships before that.
That field, pathetic field, first of all, in Beverly Hills, right? I mean, right?
Oh, it's a nice field.
Oh my God, the lips on it's like those old AstroTurf fields where where they cut out the bases, but it's real grass that it has lips everywhere.
How many other softball fields have real grass?
Well,
it's nice.
I'd rather have no grass. The lips are killers.
All right, okay. Well, that's probably true, and it's not as good shape as it used to be in. But anyway, we've won many championships over the last 25 years. So
let's talk about the drive there.
It's 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
No. From where I live, it's going from Chicago to Milwaukee.
That is such bullshit.
Oh, no,
that's
it is.
Bullshit.
I've done it.
But that's not even the point. That's not even
It is the point because
we needed a player. Last Thursday night, we needed a player.
Yep.
So I call my friend Jeff Sano, and I say, hey, Jeff, come and play. No, I can't. My legs are shot. Really?
No, listen. If it was Burbank,
if your dad had heard you say that?
Oh my God.
That is such bull.
There you go with the Santo. Right.
You got two good legs and you don't even want to play softball.
Listen, it was all about the drive and about
I said I would drive you.
You did. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm driving or if I'm in the shotgun seat because it's miserable no matter what. You would have had to come to Burbank, then we have to go over the hill, caught in traffic for an hour and get to a softball field that man, I don't even know how you even play on that softball field. I got a softball field right here in my backyard called Burbank Park District. You got on the team. I got you on that team. You're playing in that league. I thought it was for that. I would have happily gone down to Burbank because I was out. First of all, I walked. I did the picketing for the Riders Guild. Okay. And I did about 4 laps around Disney. I was shot. Yeah, I was shot. No doubt. Then I went out for beers after. And then I come home and I'm in bed just watching TV for the night, and here I get this text. Wow. You got to play. And then you guilted me into like 2
good flesh and blood legs, and you say your legs are shot and you can't play.
Do you know I retired for that reason? Because I love playing the game, going out there and playing softball, but after every game, I couldn't walk the dogs the next morning. Now
it's called Advil. Suck it up.
Oh, I did suck it up for a couple of years, more than a couple of years. But there's something about you. You play hockey, you play softball. I don't know how you do it, man. I don't. We're the same age. I don't know how you do it.
I'll sleep when I'm dead, man. You know what? I'll tell you what. I play ice hockey here in Burbank, and there was a guy named Paul Laguerre who's run this pickup skate twice a week since the 80s. He turned 97 and he played hockey until he was 93. This crazy French Canadian. And was he slow? Yes. Was he particularly great? No. But you've never felt worse than when you're skating up the ice and a 93-year-old man takes the puck off your stick because he knows what you're going to do before you do it. If you never stop, you never stop.
That's true. That's true, man. Oh, I do understand that, but I got to tell you, my dad, he didn't play much after 40. He did play in a softball league after he retired at Roosevelt Park in Glenview. And
16 or 12?
16.
What position did he play?
He played short. They put him out there at short. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He was good. Yeah, but still, softball, that 16 inches is so different than baseball, even 12 inches.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So,
agreed.
The baseball player has a harder time than the actual full-time softball player, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's true. Because, I go out there and we're a little older in the leagues that we were in, right? And especially the team that I got in Burbank, which is a cool team. I just went to the Park District and said, hey, I want to get on a team. I just moved here. And they put me with a team that had some Cub fans on there. Had some guys from, which was good. And so I loved that part of it, meeting new people out there and everything. But, I knew these guys once they knew that, who my dad was. They're like, well, he's not as good as I thought he was. Like, come on, man. My time is done. I'm out here to just chill and have some fun.
I really thought he'd be better. I don't know what the deal is.
I got people that could vouch for me in baseball. Don't worry about that. Softball,
right.
But no, it's a fun time. Let me ask you, did you guys win that game on Thursday night?
No, we got crushed.
Well, because you weren't prepared. You're calling me last minute for a championship game?
No, it wasn't a championship game. It was a regular season game. But normally we play on Wednesdays. This year we got stuck on Thursday, so most of our guys can't make it all. It's been a can I say shit show on your show?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's what it's been. It's been hard. We're not in Beverly Hills. We're in the LA City League down by the Grove. Beverly Hills starts in July, back on Wednesdays.
Oh,
that's the gold standard league of the year.
What about Burbank here? You're still playing on the team that I brought you to?
Yeah, Tuesday. I play Tuesday nights. Tuesday nights doesn't feel right for softball, but it's fun. The guys are fun, and it's a competitive league, so I like it.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Getting to baseball. When did you become a baseball fan first before any other sports?
I think both. I have two brothers, and there were other boys in the neighborhood. So we would play street hockey and baseball. So we grew up next to a fire station number 3 in Downers Grove, which had a huge parking lot that was perfect for playing baseball and hockey both. So we played that until my brother's got his nose cut playing hockey because Ron Kojerman took a big backswing, sliced his nose here, and bled like a pig. My mom found out, and she took all our hockey sticks and she broke them and she burned them in the fireplace. I guess she didn't realize we could just go to the store and buy more hockey sticks and store them at our friend's house, which is what we did. But yeah, we started in Little League, however little you are, T-ball, and then Little League and high school baseball. And I played through high school, and my brother Mike played in college, and now my brother Dan's son is the starting second baseman for the UW Huskies.
Yeah, it's amazing.
As a freshman.
That's at UCLA. I mean, that Division I.
No. It's division, but it's up in Seattle.
What am I thinking? I'm sorry. I thought I was going to watch him at UCLA. That's right. So he's in the same conference. Yeah.
Right, and they beat UCLA 2 out of 3.
Right. Yeah, up in Washington, and my mom and dad's home state. Yeah. So you got some athletes in the family, and you got a hockey player and
my nephew Andrew is the starting center for the Air Force team. He's going into his junior year. Yeah, so it's fun. It's fun going to see professional sports, but it's really fun when you got some skin in the game.
God, man! And now, so both brothers, they come from one brother or both brothers? One each.
Mike has a boy and a girl, and Danny has a boy and a girl.
So that's where the athletic ability lives, in your brothers.
Exactly. That's what they'll tell you. But they don't play softball anymore.
Right. Yeah. See, one of your brothers came out one time. He was pretty good.
He's still good. You know what it is? It's the drive. They live down in Orange County. And the drive
there we go. I relate to your brothers better than you. The drive.
That's an hour drive for them.
Oh, and not me. Okay. Yeah. All
I
right.
was going to drive and
That
listen to
doesn't
your
matter. That doesn't
whining the
matter. That's
whole
even
way
worse.
there.
That's even worse. You driving and me
Oh,
sitting next to you. And no.
man, this is the
Hey.
worst one of your podcasts I've heard so far.
Oh no, hey, come on now. Hey, when did you become a Cubs fan? Like when was your first game?
I was 4 and my brother Mike was 3, and we went with my 2 grandpas to Wrigley Field. One grandpa worked for Mayor Daley for 33 years, and the other grandpa was a barber / bookie downtown. So I never even knew you need to have tickets to get into something. We went there, and my grandpa Mike knew what was his name? Pete Mark Antonio. How is that for a Chicago name?
Right. Yeah.
He was the head Andy Frame guy at Wrigley Field. So we walked up to the gate in left field, the little gate that's kind of by the foul pole.
That's how we went in most of the days. We're going that way.
He opens up his coat. He gives this usher a bottle. We walk in, and we had box seats right on the first base line. And I just remember walking in and thinking, it's so green. Everything was just green and big, and the ball players were ginormous, and it was exciting, and we had hot dogs and ice cream, and it was great. And then as we got a little older, my dad bought season tickets for Sunday games, home Sunday games, and we had 4 seats right over in section J at the time, right over one of the stairwells on the third base side. So unobstructed view, beautiful base inside of third base. We were there for Bert Hooton's no-hitter.
Oh, wow, man. And
I ran on the field, and it was freezing cold and rainy, and the grass crunched under my feet, and it was so exciting. And then I ran off the field because I thought, someone was going to beat me up, but it was very, very exciting. So, I mean, since there was really no option in our family.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, and it stays with you your whole life. I mean, being a Cub fan, it's, everyone on my show talking to Bonnie, it lives with you. Never getting to a World Series, but loving your team. And then we finally got one, which was, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We may never get another one.
It's that park, right? I mean,
yeah.
What's the one constant? It's I never go to Chicago and not go to that place. It's just the greatest place on the planet.
Yeah. And you wound up going to Randy Hundley's fantasy camp.
I did.
And so what was that experience like for you?
It was awesome. It was way more tiring than I thought it would be. You play 2 games a day, and then like a all-star game on Saturday. I had a blast. I hit 2 grand slams.
Did you really?
In back-to-back games.
Over the fence?
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, pitching machine, aluminum bats.
But still, dude, not many do that. I mean, there's probably a couple guys each camp that do it, and that's...
Yeah, it was super fun. So my brother Mike was there, and so one like the day 2 or 3, we're hanging out. Billy Williams was one of our managers. I think cool. Billy and Jose Cardinal. So the game finishes. All the other guys go back to get lunch or whatever, and Billy Williams is there picking up baseballs and putting them in the bucket. And this is Billy Williams, Hall of Famer. So I say to my brother Mike, I'm like, let's help Billy. So we do. We help Billy. We're chatting him up a little bit. We put all the balls back in the bucket. The pitching machine's on the mound. And I go, hey, Billy, would you give us some hitting tips? And he goes, sure thing. So we got a 45-minute batting lesson from Billy Williams, just me and my brother.
How good is that?
Get your load up, get your hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it up. And it was, we're just looking at each other like, it was awesome.
He's sweet swinging Billy. He's such a good guy, man.
Such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Such a nice guy. And gave us really good tips. He was like, no, move here, do this. Yeah.
And the one thing Billy always said, he said, one pitch, you got one good pitch every bat to hit, and I try to tell like my nephews that like there is one pitch, right? It might be that first pitch, then you get in that account, it's if you're 0-1, it's a little different for you now, right? Versus 1-0. And so you might get it on 1-0, but that's so true. And I always looked at that, man, that, the one pitch and working those counts as a ball player is so key to hitters, and people
don't get that.
No,
I also think, I think a lot of times when non-sports people hear people talking about sports and baseball and hockey and stuff like that, they kind of roll their eyes and think, oh, it's just a stupid pastime and it's juvenile and blah, 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 blah. But I honestly think you learn so much about life from playing team sports.
So true.
And learning to deal with 12 other guys. And you're going to bunt, not because you want to bunt, because you want to, the team needs you to bunt in this situation and do it right. And you sacrifice your solo ego for the good of the team. And that mentality, it's very Second City. It's very sports. It has served me personally well in my life, understanding you got to deal with, all kinds of different people, especially out here, right?
Absolutely.
And you have to get along with everybody, and you have to all work towards a common goal. And whether that's winning a stupid softball game on a Tuesday night or shooting a scene in a movie or whatever it turns out to be, that muscle or that idea or that whatever you want to call it, I think is an important thing to learn and to go through. And I think a lot of kids miss out on that if they don't play team sports.
Yeah, and especially with baseball, there's no clock, right? So, it deals with you got to know your role, right? You better play your role. Playing
Right.
third base, you're where you're hitting in the order. You got to have patience to be a good hitter,
Right.
and you got to get over pressure because that, when you're up at that plate, guys throwing in our day, 80s in high school, it's still adjust to the curve. All those kind of sayings, baseball sayings are like life. It's like, look for get ready for the fastball, adjust to the curve. It's kind of life, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's an important thing to learn. And I think a lot of people just don't think it's as important as I think it truly is.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And being a team player is everything too in life, right? And especially
Right.
today, you don't see everyone so much, it's a different ball game when you think of the game and life, obviously. What do you think of baseball today, Mark, versus
I like the changes this year. I like more stealing. I like the pitch clock. It makes the games move faster. I find myself looking at my phone far less now during a game because an at bat doesn't take 20 minutes. And I think it's helped the quality of the play on the field. It's expensive. I mean, when we went to, this was Bert Hooton's no hitter was
71. You said
72 or 74.
Oh, it wasn't. No, he was 72. I think it's before my dad retired. But go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, he was in the game for sure. And we went my dad was buying 4 tickets every Sunday, and the tickets were $4.75 for upper box seats. My brother took the ticket stubs when Bert Hooton came to town a couple years ago and had him sign one.
Nice.
And but what does it cost to take 3 kids to a baseball game today? At Dodger Stadium, it's for good box seats, it's $1,000.
Yep.
So if kids don't go to ballparks when they're little kids, they're going to find other things to do. They're going to play video games. They're going to skateboard. They're going to do whatever. And eventually you run out of fans,
Yeah.
So I don't know how you fix it, but I think that's the one problem that they have. And the blackouts. I have the MLB package.
Right, man.
I just,
crazy.
when the Cubs played the Dodgers or even the Angels,
awful.
They played the Angels the other day. I couldn't
get it.
Did they not understand that Orange County is a continent away from Los Angeles?
Right. And I think, I remember you watched the games in the 60s and 70s. You just had a different feel of watching the game. It felt like the baseball vibe was coming out of the TV. Today, you got the higher HD and the quality. They've never changed up how they shoot a game, same kind of setups. And if you think about it, I really didn't recognize this until COVID hit, where all of a sudden you're paying attention, like no one's in the stands. Now you start to pay attention to the shots and like, this is not rolling. This style has to change, especially now with the speeding up the game. It feels like you have to speed up how you're going to shoot this game. And especially if you want to get that younger audience. I don't know. I just feel that way. I don't think they've ever done it. I think they should have tried it during COVID.
They could have put the cameras anywhere.
You're right.
One shot, the when the Cubs were playing the Dodgers a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, whatever, I went with my buddy Brian, and we had right behind home plate seats, second row. So and I had never sat right there. That's a great angle.
Yep.
And they'll show it a little bit, but when the pitch comes, they always go back to that center field high. I think show that, because that's what the batter sees, and it's impossible to hit a baseball.
Right.
It's ridiculous how much it moves, and that the fact that they're still able to hit it. I think that perspective, you're low on the field. It's like the point of view of a player, and I think they could use that more. They've changed with HD. They changed the way they photograph hockey, and I think it's been a big plus for hockey, because now you get more. You're down into the game more. You're tracking with the players more. You get more of a sense of the energy and the intensity of the game.
That's what you need. You need to feel that intensity. And I feel in baseball, you can even put the cameras on the home plate umpire. You know, you can put them on all the umpires and have that perspective. And that will even help in replays too. You know, if you if you got the perspective of the umpire looking down at the base, and once they would get used to it, they would know how to tilt their heads and be part of that. If they're going into maybe using, taking away the umpire's call,
they have to.
I know
they have to. I see so many bad strike and ball calls. It's bad for the hitters, right? If you have a really good eye, and the ball's 2 inches off the plate, and you keep getting run up on it, it forces you to swing at crappy pitches, and you're going to make dribbly outs. That's no good.
Absolutely. And I feel like you almost have to change it up. You'd have to change the style and the tone, because don't you get sometimes just you're watching a fan in the background that kind of takes you away from the game once in a while behind home plate. I mean, you all get those kind of things. It's like start really making it more like a feature. I just feel like, to do that's hard to do. Obviously, you got to get a commitment from MLB to really switch it up. But I think if you're going to get viewers on TV, the games are moving faster now. Something has to happen, because I don't know, when you went to the Dodger Stadium, I went to a couple Cub games when they were here. I mean, fans were showing up in the seventh inning. The game was almost over.
Those are Dodger fans.
No, I know, but usually they show up in the third inning. Now with the game speeding up, they're getting there in the seventh. It's not.
Well, who cares? They're Dodger fans. That I just don't. I mean, I never go to Dodger Stadium unless the Cubs are playing there.
Oh, I know.
And every time I go, there's always a fight.
Getting in there,
fist fight everywhere. Have you ever been at Wrigley Field and seen anyone grab their seat after the first inning?
No, not really. Well,
and if they did, they got an earful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think, and also Dodger Stadium, I mean, you're there, you can't even get a hot dog. You're standing there for 3 innings and you're missing, especially the way the game's going today. I don't know how it's working in other ballparks, but getting to Dodger Stadium is a pain, man. Yeah. I gotta
say, those seats behind home plate, there's a whole buffet underneath there. Get as many hot dogs as you want. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was nice.
Yeah, I know, man. It just seems we love the game of baseball, but man, and I don't know if it's just kind of like where we are in life today, but for younger people to watch it, I think you got to make some different.
There's a lot of competition for people's attention, right?
Yeah.
Internet, TV, whatever. I think these steps are in the right direction.
Yeah.
And,
right on. Yeah, me too.
And they're making money, and it's still an exciting game, when it's played correctly. So we'll see.
Are we ever going to see a World Series again, Mark?
With the Cubs, you mean?
Yes.
I hope so. I mean, I like Dansby and Nico up the middle. They're great. Yeah. I think Cody Bellinger's having a really good year.
He got hurt though, man. That hurt us.
It did. It did. It's just, I hope so.
That moment was brought to you by Tangent West, executive recruiters. Headquartered in Denver, with offices in Vail, Colorado, and New Orleans. Since 1995, Tangent West has conducted executive searches nationally and internationally. They place C-level executives, management positions, high-level executive assistants, marketing and accounting, and finance. Cheryl Grimaldi, president, has personally interviewed over 36,000 candidates and has filled over 2,500 searches. I've known Cheryl for decades. She's a dear family friend and someone you can trust. She's been at this for a long time. Tangent West, hunting human excellence and building the country's finest companies since 1995, because nothing matters more than hiring the right people. If you're hiring, go to www.tangentwest.com.
Crackerjack.
This call is being recorded.
Marc Brady.
Hello.
Hey, Jeff Santo, you're my crackerjack. Surprise call.
Well, all right. Well, all right.
How you been, man? It's been a long time.
I've been great. I have no complaints whatsoever.
Right on, man. Well, you're in LA now, right?
I'm in LA. I am producing the White Sox Dodgers series for NBC Sports Chicago. Not I'm filling in for the regular producer who's on vacation, so just getting a little taste of baseball.
Right on, man. It's been a long time, buddy. God, good to talk to you.
Yes, it has. It's been way too long.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's almost 20 years since I traveled with the Cubs doing this old Cub and hanging out with you guys. That was a blast. Man.
I cannot believe it's been that long. That's amazing.
Right, man. I want to ask you, how long have you been producing baseball and sports in general?
Well, I started in television in 1992, and I was the guy in the booth for the White Sox with Hawk Harrelson and Tom Paciorek. And after that, in '98, I moved on to the Cubs, and I started working with Chip Carey and Steve Stone for WGN-TV. Right.
So now, if someone wants to get into broadcasting sports events, what is that path? Did you go to school for that, or did you just say, you know what,
I went to school. I went to school for it. I went to Columbia College, downtown Chicago, a liberal arts college, and
right.
I actually did an internship that opened the door for me. I'll be honest with you, it's a really strange business to get into. Usually you have to leave a larger city to go to a smaller city and sort of learn what you're doing. But I got real lucky right off the top, and did an internship with Sports Channel Chicago, and got lucky enough to get hired out of college.
Great, man. Was that your goal, to be a producer of baseball or any particular sport? Were you picking one, or you didn't?
To be honest with you, I was always a huge sports fan, but I didn't really even know this job existed. I just knew that one thing that I did enjoy was entertaining. I loved television, and I knew I wasn't going to be a 9-to-5 guy. I wasn't going to fit into that situation. And as I got into the business, it became my goal after watching others do it. Even though growing up, I remember watching Cubs games and hearing Harry Carey speak of Arnie Harris, but I really didn't put the two and two together.
Wow, man. So when you got in the truck in '98 with WGN and the Cubs, Skip Ellison, was he the producer then, or was Arnie still the producer?
No. Pete Toma was the producer. Arnie was the director. Up to that point, Arnie Harris actually did both roles, producer and director. But when I came to the Cubs in '98, which turned out to be a magical season, I was the guy in charge of statistical data and making sure guys' averages were updated. I would also go on the field after the game if there was a special moment. And if it was Kerry Wood getting the 20 strikeouts, I would go get him and pull him over to our cameras. That was my role. I was more of I did everything but produced almost. Right, man. And Arnie Harris was a legend, obviously. He started. When did he start? Yeah, my dad loved him, man. I always talked about Arnie, and I met him a bunch of times too. Great guy. And so, tell me about like the difference between producing and directing in the truck for sports games. Well, the director is the one who is making the calls. He is saying, take camera 2, take camera 3, zoom in here, zoom in there. He's the one setting up. And what the producer is doing, I'm more in charge of, I'm setting the show up in the morning. I'm the one who is timing out the show. I decide the replays that we show, the music we use, when we use it, and I decide sort of the content, while the director is actually applying that and also putting his own touch on it by taking the cameras and getting the beautiful shots that we see on the air.
Right, man. Okay, cool. So you guys are in tandem basically throughout the whole game.
Exactly. When it works right, we are definitely working hand in hand. When it's a bad situation, that's when we aren't hand in hand. But for the most part, when you are working, I need the director to get my job done. The director is an actual in the moment person, while the producer is always sort of preparing and reacting, like if whether or not I'm looking for an old highlight to work into the show. The director is actually working in the moment. It's definitely the director is more aggressive of the two of us, I feel, while the producer may be the more laid back one who's preparing everything.
Gotcha. And you're overseeing everything too. So it's a lot like film where the producer's overseeing the production, the director's
Exactly.
in the moment. Awesome, man. So you worked out as that you were associate producer with Arnie. Pete Toma was the director while Arnie was producing after he gave up.
Arnie was the director. Arnie was the director and Pete was the producer.
Okay, I got that wrong. Okay, I got you. And Arnie was doing producing before also. He was doing both jobs,
Yes.
you said, huh?
He did both jobs. The reason why the job sort of split up was the technology just became so much more that back when Arnie started, there were probably 4 or 5 cameras versus now being 8 cameras. There was 2 tape machines versus now there being 6 on the smallest show. There'll be 4 on the biggest show. There can be 10 tape machines. So it's just the job just got a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah, I got you. And so when you moved up the ladder, what was that like? You started as an associate producer, putting content on there, and then where'd you go from there?
When when Pete Toma left, I became producer, and it was the same year that we also got we got the rights to the Blackhawks. So in the same moment, I became the Chicago Cubs producer, which was a dream come true, and then I became also the Blackhawks producer, which was nothing I dreamed about becoming, but was also they ended up winning 3 Stanley Cups. So it definitely was a great ride as well. Yeah.
Wow, man! You had Cubs in the summer and you had the Hawks in the winter. That's amazing, man.
Yeah. My life has been a fairy tale.
Right, man. What a dream job, man. But you're on the run a lot, man. So how's that with the family life?
Well, the thing about it is, up until in 2019. The Cubs left WGN-TV, so my stint with the Cubs came to an end, which started a stint now that I'm producing the Chicago Bulls full time with NBC, and I also fill in during White Sox. But due to COVID, we don't travel nearly as much as we used to. I think this year alone, I did a road trip in Paris with the Bulls, and I'll do this road trip with the White Sox. We produce a lot more of it now remotely, which definitely increased the quality of life. Like travel on the road is fun, but it's taxing. And when it comes down to it, it's not a vacation. You're not sightseeing. You're literally on a game day. I'm just truck at 1:00 for a 7:00 game, and then when the game's over, a lot of times you're getting prepared to go to work the next day. So. It's not nearly the life of leisure it might sound as is, but there are no complaints because there's a lot of excitement still involved.
Exactly. I mean, I saw you guys work. You're there all the time, man. It's like I'm like, when do you ever leave the park, right? I mean,
exactly right. But it is a labor of love.
No doubt. I mean, you guys let me in the truck a few times to hang out, and you guys have just a cool vibe in there. You guys you have to get along. You're like a team, right? You have to get along. You see your workmates more than you see your family members. It becomes, and during the season, that travel party, I would say there's no experience in my life like traveling a season with a team, because
despite the fact that you may not be $1 million athlete, you may not even be an athlete, you live the life of a Major League Baseball player, NBA player, as far as the pluses and the minuses of that lifestyle. And it is amazing to be someone who wasn't All-State to get the opportunity to live that lifestyle.
Absolutely, man. You guys. Well, basically, when you were traveling full time, you were traveling with the Cubs team with GN. So you guys travel. You get on the same plane with the team.
You're on the plane with the team. You're at the hotel with the team. It's like being a roadie for a great band, and you get a lot of the benefits of that team. Like I've traveled on planes that I would never have the opportunity to be. I've been in cities I've never had the opportunity to go to just because of that. And the way we go there, like when I was traveling with the Cubs in 1998, that was like traveling with the Beatles. I traveled with the Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were on the team. Even if you aren't one of them, you get off a bus with them, you feel like you are one of them.
Right, man. What an atmosphere, man.
You see those faces looking at you as you get off that bus, and they're like, "Who are you?" And you're like, nobody, but still.
No doubt, man. And let me ask you, what sport do you like the best? Do you have one?
I would say to produce, the funny thing is, it's a different beast each one. Like basketball, I love basketball. I love the pace of basketball, but there's not a ton of time to produce. The game pretty much is moving the whole time. Baseball, when it's played right, there's a lot of opportunities to produce and tell stories, which I do truly enjoy that. And hockey, I won't lie to you, hockey was difficult, but I enjoyed it.
Right. So you're on the earpiece with the broadcasters, right? The producers.
Yeah, I'm literally talking to the broadcasters, our tape room, our graphics operator, our director, and I'm also talking with someone in the studio to make sure we roll our commercial breaks and that type of stuff. So at any given time, I'm probably talking to about 20 people at all times. But yes, I am in their ears in a way like Cyril and Divergiac outside in the lawn saying words in their ears.
Right, exactly, man. So you you are kind of like, you got to be on your game. So you can't be too hungover in that. If you
no, you definitely have to be on your game. But the thing is there's a show behind the show. So what you hear on the air, the show that never airs is probably twice as entertaining as the show that actually does air.
Oh yeah,
we're constantly in conversation.
Right. I've been in that's a great perspective to see that happening. Yeah, no doubt.
It's an amazing show behind the scenes. Even like back in the day when Steve Stone would say to us, "You better get a picture up right now." And 2 seconds later, a guy would hit a home run. And you're like, "Well, I guess he should have got a guy up right there." It's just a very and also we see stuff before anybody at home sees it because of where we are. It's an amazing perspective to see things.
No doubt, man. Now, let me ask you this. With the new rules and the game, the pace of the game's quicker, does that change how you're producing?
100%.
For baseball.
100%. It makes for a more entertaining game. I think that the movement is great. The pacing is great. There was a game I produced last year while I was producing it from the studio, and then we were playing in Oakland. So the game was 9 o'clock Chicago time. And I remember about 11 o'clock into the game, it might have been like the fourth inning, pitcher stared in, batter stared back, batter stepped out, adjusted his gloves, pitcher walked off the mound, pitcher walked back to the mound, batter adjusted gloves, walked back to the mound, pitcher threw a ball. That took about 2 minutes. And I was like, this is not good TV. Like, I cannot beg of you to watch this because I don't want to watch it. And these games I've been doing now, I find myself quite often like, whoa, we're in the 6th inning. Like that's the problem with baseball became that the clock was the only thing we talked about. We were like, wow, today's game was 3:30. Like you didn't even speak about what you saw and the lack of action with the shifts and everything. I believe if you think about it, the first 4 innings of a game, the pitcher, if you didn't score, they started bringing in all these specialists and everything. The game became pretty boring. So I think what they've done has spiced the game up a lot. My favorite players growing up were Ricky Henderson, Vince Coleman, and Tim Raines. And they have been eliminated from baseball because nobody stole bases anymore. So I think what they've done to the game, it's going to help tremendously.
Me too, man. You bringing back a bit of the small ball, stealing bases, some more excitement there. Now, one thing though, with the game speeding up, does a 2-man, 3-man booth work like it did before?
In my opinion, NBC Sports Chicago has a 2-man booth. Mm-hmm. There's no one else from outside that booth going to bring any more perspective on that game better than those two people, in my opinion. And I don't believe there's enough time for 3 people to talk in this situation. I think what you end up having is one person getting maybe ISO'd out or people competing to talk. I don't believe there's really a need for a 3-man booth, maybe for special events, but that camaraderie between 2 people is special.
I agree, man. It almost feels like the way it's moving so fast, even, a guy like Vin Scully could take the whole game,
100%. I feel sorry for the sideline reporters. When a sideline reporter cuts in, it's like, hurry up. We just missed the batter. Thank you.
Right? Yeah. Right. Now, let me ask you this.
That was cute. So you said, well, that was a cute little bit, but guess what? I'm here for the game.
Exactly. And let me ask you this. Now, televising baseball really hasn't changed much as far as setups are concerned, right? I mean, a couple of more cameras like you talked about. What do you think about – I've been talking on this show about, really kind of bringing a different style and tone to baseball. Is that possible, or what do you think about that?
I think that you can always break the norm, but you have to be prepared for the criticism because people are always going to fight against something that's like right now, even the clock change. During spring training, there was so much, how's this going to, so much negativity going into it. And then literally, we don't even talk about it anymore. So I think that you always have the opportunity to go ahead and make some changes to things, but be prepared that there's going to be negativity. You got to stay the course so people get used to it.
Yeah, because I noticed over COVID, man, with nobody in the stands, you really start to say, okay, this could be, a lot of those shots had filler with the stands, with fans and kind of like extras in a movie. But when you get down to it, and you guys do a great, this is not taking away what you guys do as far as producing, it's beautiful, but it just seems like, man, if you put some, the umpires wearing cameras, get more of that action on the field to feel the field, to feel the sounds and how intimidating baseball can be, when you're up close and personal with it. Because I feel like we don't get that enough.
If you've ever watched the game in Seattle, they have a camera in Seattle. They may use it more than they needed to, but I whenever I get a fresh toy, I won't lie to you, I have a lot of fun with it. But it's it's like a sky cam that goes over from like third base over center, over the dugout, over home plate, and then back over to the other side of the field. It's beautiful and it's different. I think that in the world today that we live in, there's so much other entertainment that you do have to. If you keep doing things the way things are being done, you will find yourself no longer necessary. And I believe that the more times we break the rules and try to do more interesting things, it makes it better for the game and better for the fans.
I do too, man. Because going to the game, we know it's a great experience. You go to a baseball game live, it's beautiful. On TV, though, they've had some problems, even finding the games if you're not in Chicago. That's a different thing. But as far as actually the tone and style, it's really never changed. Like if you put baseball in a genre, what would it be?
An old Western with an old Western shootout.
I love back in the days of old WGN. Sometimes even that grainy stuff made you feel more part of the game, right? And now the technology is,
it's so A+. It's like, let's start really kind of bringing the game into the field, because sometimes, man, you see a fan do something silly behind home plate that takes you out of the game. You're watching that fan.
Well, see, I think one of the problems with baseball is the thing that it was always the positive about baseball, about the tradition, and about about it being around forever. But unfortunately, for younger people, that's not the best selling point.
No, and it's almost like you'd have to really change, like I said, style and tone to really go, okay, what are we doing here now? And maybe take a practice set. Take, like I said, maybe throw a Friday night game, do a Friday night lights game, and put as many cameras as you can on the field, around, cover every player, mic them up, and see what you get. Why not?
You can't. The only way you find out is by trying different things. And I think that a lot of times we get locked into things being the same way forever. Like I said the other day, I think that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they shortened the season to 140 games. Like the whole majesty of playing this 162 game schedule. Like, why? What if they didn't? What if you didn't? What if you made it a shorter season and made it a better season?
Yeah, I agree, man, because we are changing so much. And like you said, TV, when you're watching, you got so many choices. Like, bring something new here, man. Bring something new.
Exactly.
Grab these younger people. And,
maybe we don't play that first month where it's freezing in Chicago, where the games are so ugly on TV.
Right.
Where it's, like literally, if you try to sell someone to go to one of those games, how that doesn't help the game to me. So like and maybe the playoffs are over before October. Maybe October is the end of the playoffs. How exciting would it be if the playoffs started in September?
Yeah, I agree. And October is where the World Series is. Yeah, basically.
Exactly right. And sometimes you say, hey, football, enjoy it. You can have it, football. We're gonna do our show before you guys get going.
I agree, man. Because back in the day, I mean, you think about it, it was before there were any division. It was National League American League. Right away, you're in the World Series, right? It's different.
Exactly right. And you're also playing the best baseball while it's still nice in these cities and people are still paying attention. The problem is sometimes by the time that your team's been out of it so long that you've lost. Nobody's watching at that point. So make it a summer fall sport. Don't make it the end of fall. You know what I mean? To me, you got to look at the market and where you can thrive. And I think that there's a market for baseball, but baseball has to adjust with the way the world is adjusted around it.
I agree, man. Creatively, definitely. And how would that feel to do like a Friday night lights game? You as a producer,
exciting. Anything. Think about how well the game out in the Field of Dreams game did.
Exactly, man.
Other sports constantly do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Other sports constantly say, hey, hold on a second. Let's play an outdoor hockey game. You have to do. It's like we keep saying. There's a lot of different choices out here.
Yep. I'm with you, man. Awesome talking to you, Mark, man. God, I hope I see you sometime soon, pal. When I'm in Chicago.
My pleasure.
I'm definitely gonna ring you up.
I'm glad you called me.
Awesome, man. Well, good. You got another game in LA tonight, right?
You got that right. Getting prepared for it right now.
All right, buddy. Thanks for being on my show. Really appreciate it. Say hello to the boys for me, man. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, Mark. Talk to you later. See you, pal.
Bye-bye.
That was fascinating.
It sure was.
Let me ask you something. Would you rather direct a Friday Night Lights game or produce it?
Well, first of all, those jobs are like skilled jobs, right?
For sure.
That you got to learn. So if there was a Friday Night Lights game that I could be a part of, I'd like to be part of the creative producing team, setting the tone,
the idea man.
Yeah, just let's get together with the group and say how we're going to do this. I like to be part of that team.
Cool.
It's like putting together a movie, right? I like to be part of putting together a movie.
Right.
For sure. Hey, please don't hesitate to write to us. Tell me a story about my dad, or tell us how you're liking the show, what me and Christy are talking about. So email us at jeff.ppcpodcast@gmail.com.
And as many of you know, doing a podcast takes a lot of time, effort, and resources. So if you like what you hear and would like to support us, there are two ways you can do that. You can hit subscribe on our PPC Plus feature on Apple Podcasts for $4.99 and get exclusive content. Or you can go to our Patreon page. We have tiers ranging from $3 to $10 a month. And there you can get early access to episodes, exclusive content, and other perks. Click the link below this episode or go to our website, www.peanutspopcornandcrackerjacks.com.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for all the great support. And remember what Babe Ruth said, every strike brings me closer to the next home run.
Here's hoping.
That's our show, folks. Special thanks to our cool Cracker Jacks, Scott Nelson, Jim McCauley, Debbie Foley, and Sherry Matarisi. Keep bringing them. We need some more cool Cracker Jacks.
Please do. Thank you so much. Toodaloo.
SantoFilms.com, the place to buy This Old Cub DVDs, posters, and This Old Cub t-shirts. Get yourself one now at SantoFilms.com.